Hello everyone and welcome back. Today we'll be looking at data types in Python. Data types can be defined as the types of data that can be stored in a variable. Now, the computer accepts data in different formats, and this is because the computer has different programs to process different data. We have the numeric, text, boolean, sequence, mapping, and set data types. And for this video, I'll only be explaining the numeric, text, and boolean data types. And note, you can use a type function, Python's inbuilt type function, to determine the data type, the type of data type. So if I were to say value is equals to 5, just a quick example, print type value. So if I'm to run this now, as you can see, class int, which is saying that this particular value is of int data type. So let's simply clean this, and let's move to the first data type I'll be talking about, which is a numeric data type. Numeric data type holds values, numeric values. Under it we have the integer, floats, and the complex data type. The integers are represented by int class, as I showed in the previous example. It holds signed numeric values of non-limited length. So let's create another variable value, and let's give it a value of 2. And where I can say print, value is of type value. So to run this, as you can see, 2 is of class int. So as I said, the integers are represented by int class, and it holds signed numeric values of non-limited length. It is a whole number, as you can see, and it can be positive, negative, or even 0. And also in Python, there's no limit to how long an integer value can be. So it can be 2, it can be a million, and so on. Also, it can be negative a million. As I said, it holds both negative, positive, and also 0 values. Just that it's a whole number, so no decimals. So as I said, it can be negative, let's say negative 10. It's also of int class, as you can see. So now this is basically all about the integer or the int class data type. So let's move on to the floating data type. And the floating values are simply represented by the float class. So over here we have 10 to be an integer and to be of int class. But if I were to say 10.0 and run this, as you can see, 10.0 is of class float. So the floating data type holds floating decimal points and is accurate up to 15 decimal places. As you can see, negative 10.0 is also of float data type. So moving on to the next data type under the numeric data type, we have our complex data type. Now the complex number are represented by the complex class, and also it holds complex numbers. As I said, it is a combination of your real and imaginary numbers. So over here we can say value is equals to 2 plus 3j, and if I'm to run this now, we have 2 plus 3j is of class complex. Now 2 being our real number and 3j being our imaginary number. Now there's also a way I can represent this. There's also a way of representing complex data types. Let's simply say a real is equals to 2 and imaginary, is equals to 3, as I said. So now we'll say value is equals to complex real, imaginary. So if I'm to run this, as you can see over here, 2 plus 3j is of class complex. So this is another way of representing your complex data type. So let's move on to the next data type, which is a text data type. Now we have the string type, which is simply a sequence of characters represented by either a single or double quotes. So let's simply clean all of this. Sorry. Okay, and let's say value is equals to hello world. Hello, like point. Okay, and let's say value 2 is equals to hello world, but this time enclosed with single quote marks. So as you can see, value and value 2 are all variable holding the string data types, but one is enclosed with the double quote mark and the other is enclosed with a single quote mark. Now, as I said, you can either use a double or single, but you cannot use the double and single to define a string. You can't use the two of them to define a string, because when defining a string, you use a quote mark to open and then use the same quote mark to close. Now you can't close a quote mark which was initially opened using the double quote mark. You can't close that with a single quote mark. Let me explain what I just said. So now over here we have this to be opened with the double quote mark, and if I were to change this to a single quote mark, as you can see I have an error because this particular string wasn't closed. As I said, you close your string with the same type of quote mark that you initially opened it with. So this now closes our string. So let's make another example. First, let's print this out. And as you can see over here, hello world is of class string. So now I can say hello world, my name is, well, let's say I am David. As you can see, I used a single quote mark within this double quote mark. Well, it doesn't really signify anything, because I said you can't close, use a different quote mark to close another quote mark. So this just takes this as part of the string. So if I'm to run this, hello world, I'm David is of class string. So this is basically all about the string data type. So moving on to the last data type I said I'll be talking in this tutorial video. We have the Boolean data type. And the Boolean data type simply returns a true or a false. Now Python has an inbuilt Boolean function, the bool function, to help us find the true and false in things. So let's say value is 2. Over here, instead of printing all this, I'll simply print bool value. Now over here, I have the equals to sign, the double equals to sign, which is simply a comparison operator. It checks if the value at the left is the same with the value at the right. So if I'm to run this now, as you can see over here, it returns a true because 2 is the same as 2. But if I were to change this to a greater than operator, as you can see, it's a false because 2 isn't greater than 2. Now there are other operations that we can do using the bool operator. Instead of saying this, I can get to find out which particular data type a string value has. Sorry, a value has. I said a string value. I can get to know which particular data type a value has. So let's say value is equals to 2. I even know I clean that. But over here, I'll simply say, print bool type value equals string. And if I'm to run this, as you can see, it's a false, because what I'm saying over here is check if this particular variable is holding a string value type, and if it's holding a string value type, return true, else return a false. Now as you can see, it's not holding a string value type because it is of int class. So this particular statement is a false, thereby it's returning a false. Some of the changes over here from string to int. Around this, as you can see, we have a true because the value 2 is indeed of int type. So this is basically all about your numeric text in Boolean data type. There are different and numerous operations you can. There are different operations you can do with your numeric text in Boolean data types. But this is just a basic example to explain better at what they are. So this is the end of our video tutorial. I hope you liked this video, and if you did, please stick around because I'll be explaining more data types in the next videos to come. Thank you.